Had you been there yesterday, would you have walked?
Well, I wasn't, so I don't want to...
Come on.
No.
No, that's not good enough. You were a journalist. Look, I'll give you a quote from 1980.
Yes.
You backed the bedraggled but noble trade because the pursuit of journalism is the pursuit of truth. Without truth, democracy dies in darkness. I love and admire journalism. Rather like nappies, politicians have to be changed often and generally for the same reason. Let me ask you the question and give me an honest answer, because you are a journalist and no doubt one day you will be a journalist again. Would you have joined your colleagues and walked, or would you, Mrs. Gove, have been the only two there, like Mr. and Mrs.?
I wasn't in the room at the time, so I won't pass judgment until, of course, I've heard from all of the people who were.
You have rhapsodised about journalism, the necessity for journalism, the necessity for proper scrutiny.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that quote was from 1980.
Oh, so you've changed your mind?
Well, no. I was 13 in 1980, so I must have been
the 1980s. The 1980s, the end of the 80s. When
the end of the 80s. I was just going to say I must have been a remarkably precocious journalist.
That's an excellent swerve, worthy of Finn Russell, who unfortunately won't be playing on Saturday. It was when you were with the Aberdeen Press and Journal, but you're swerving the question. Would you have stayed?
No, I'm longing to know the article that I wrote when I was 13.
It was a speech on the Aberdeen Press and Journal in Aberdeen at the end of the 1980s. Would you have stayed in that room?
Yes. What? No, I think, as I say, I wasn't in the room at the time. You do know, I mean, you are right, Nicky, that there was an occasion when a group of us who were journalists on the Press and Journal voted. I actually
That's
voted
not the
against.
issue. The issue is that you and Mrs. Gove would have stayed in the room, and every single, the BBC, Robert Peston, Laura Kunsberg, The Mirror, HuffPost, all the political journalists would have left for the briefing, and you and your wife would have been the only people there.
Well, I think it's, first of all, wrong and sexist to bring my wife into it.
You did.
I was answering a direct question.
She's a journalist.
She is a journalist, but I was answering a direct question, which Rachel asked about the cars that we drive at home. The second point is, I think it's wrong to bring my wife into this issue in the way that you have, but put that to one side, because one of the great things about journalism is that there's an opportunity for to and fro between talented interviewers and politicians. The third thing is, I try to make it a rule not to pass judgment on disputes or disagreements where I haven't been present. So I wasn't in the room. I don't know what went on. I'm not going to criticise or, for that matter, endorse either side. I'm simply going to say that I'm on here now and we can talk about any issue you like, from climate change to dealing with terror suspects, or indeed broader principles of press freedom. And that brings me back to the earlier point that I made, which was that if anyone wants to know what my attitude towards this is, then just look at the things I've written and draw your own conclusions.